guys, welcome to a book haul. I have a collection of books from the last few weeks and I am going to be making / have already started making some changes to my book buying habits. So I kind of wanted to show you, actually not kind of wanted to, I wanted to show you the books that I've acquired recently and then talk about the changes that I'm going to be making to my book buying habits. So I've separated this into books that have been gifted to me, books that I have, indie books I've purchased, and then thrifted books, and then some other books. So it sounds like a lot more books than it is, but we'll get into it. A couple of these I've already mentioned in previous videos, so some of this won't be completely new to you. Starting with the ones that were gifted to me, The Immortal Abyss. I just barely talked about this one in the completing series I'm in the middle of. This was a surprise. While I was filming that video, this one arrived. So this comes out September 17th, 2024. So in a couple months here. And this is the second book in the Threshold duology after the Eternity Gate. This is a fantasy world where in the first book, our main character wields fire instead of light. Most people in her community wield light, I believe. And in book 2, we follow a different character. I think I remember that other book correctly. It's been in like pretty much an entire year since I read it. And in this one, we follow a different character who is gifted in wielding fire in some ways. There's like 4 different forms, I think is the right term. Yeah, 4 different forms. And they all kind of work together, and she has some shortfalls. I so thoroughly enjoyed this. I talked about it in the vlog that I did trying to complete some series. It's hard to talk about the ending of a series, but if you read the Grisha-verse trilogy and you liked the idea of it but wanted some things to change, there are a few things from that, especially that third book, the last book, that are similar in this book. Not completely the same. I think the things that are the same have been done better, but trying not to give any spoilers, so I'll leave it at that. But I also want to try to remember to read the first sentence of each of these. And so this one was gifted to me by the author, and it's a nice signed copy, which is exciting. I don't know if you can really see it, but The Eternity Gate I also got signed by her. So the first sentence of chapter 1. I'd borrowed 11 homes and outgrown 10 guardians. Should we do the first sentence or the first paragraph? I feel like the first paragraph. We'll keep going. All called me tall, minus the delightful handful who preferred you, or the girl. By my 4th guardian, the desert had become my true parent, and the stars burning across the night my counselors. Surrounded by charcoal-colored sand, I possessed experience and knowledge, but my desert stretched behind me now. It's really good. Definitely check out the series if you haven't already. The other book that I have that was gifted to me is called Kingdom of the Infinity Realm. This is by Mark and Sarah Kadoshnikov. I'm not really sure how to say that. They emailed me. I have like a very particular set of requirements for books that I will accept. And what was very interesting is that Sarah also has Crohn's, like I do. So it was kind of cool to have that connection. I'm not sure if chronic illness is really ever very cool. I did read about it. I don't remember anything now, so I'll read a little bit about the back and then we'll read the first paragraph together. Preston always believed that multiple sclerosis sealed his fate. His destiny is forever changed when he's hit in the face with an Oxregonian warhammer. Don't know if I said that right. Follow Preston as he falls through a dimensional rift into the medieval-like world of Oswella. Confused for a mercenary commander, Preston must play the part while struggling to make sense of a new world around him. Along the way, 3 additional characters set out on their own quests across the isolated isles. The 4 journeys weave together, pulling you into an adventure full of mystery, intrigue, revenge, and humor, all while the future of the universe hangs in the balance. So, it sounded really good. And this one has, oh, I didn't notice this before. It has footnotes, which I can really like in books sometimes, but I did see a map kind of in the middle somewhere. I don't know what that's all about, but that's in the middle of the book. Oh, there's maybe a few. I think I saw another one. Oh, just an illustration. So yeah, there's maps throughout. I won't show you all of them now, I guess. And this one is signed by Sarah and came with a bookmark. 4 perspectives, 2 worlds, 1 epic adventure. So I'll use that when I'm reading it. Let's go to the first paragraph. Inhaling the rich, nutty aroma of freshly brewed coffee, Preston settles into the worn yellow suede armchair and stretches his lanky arms. Putting down the book he is reading, he checks the time on his phone. 6:23 p.m. The screen dims before turning black. Face to face with his reflection, sadness rolls over him like fog sweeping down a mountainside. His curly, dirty blonde hair, blue eyes, and pale face remind him of a healthier and happier version of himself that no longer exists. His forefinger instinctively clicks the on button. Instantly, his depressing reflection vanishes, replaced by the colorful glow of his phone's home screen. So, I'm assuming this will be like a portal fantasy where we're in the real world and we go into a different world. It sounds really good, and this is part of a series, so, you know, finish a few series so you can start a few more. Okay, I need to jump in here because I forgot 2 books that were gifted to me because my 11-year-old stole them and I found them in his room. So we got Jurassic Jeff book 1 and book 2. Book 1 is Space Invader, book 2 is Race to Warp Speed. These are graphic novels about an alien that comes to invade a planet, but there's dinosaurs there, and I haven't had a chance to really look at them because the 11-year-old stole them and claimed them, and they were in his bookshelf. He said he gave book 1 5 stars. He said it was really funny. And then there's also book 2. I haven't looked at this one at all. If your kids like graphic novels, he really likes Dogman, Investigators, a lot of those kinds of things. And he loved these. So I also got these, but they're not really mine. And I can't really read like the first paragraph to you. I can show you the first couple pages. The illustrations are a lot of fun too. So that's a look into this. This one says Jeff has 1 mission and 1 mission only. Take me to your leader. His mission is to take over the world. Jeff's next big mission, being a good friend, which means it's time to help his best pal, Hungry. So if you're looking for cool graphic novels, my son recommends these. Now the next 2 books I purchased on Amazon, and this will kind of, I'll talk a little bit more about this with my book buying changes. Which one do I start with? In a bit. But I have come across both of these books, I think, on Instagram. So the first one is Where Darkness Dwells by Andrea Renee. I mentioned this in my newsletter last week. I don't know if it's still on sale, but this book was quite, I think it was like 20% off for Americans and 64% for Canadians. I got this for $8.44 Canadian, which is pretty much unheard of. And I found out that the author is from Saskatchewan. Of course, when I moved from there, then I meet online an author from there. One thing I noticed this book is really cool is every chapter, the first page is black. That is really neat. And it has stuff in the back. It has a bun recipe and a song. I like to try to look at things without seeing too much because I don't want spoilers. So what did this one say? A land plagued with darkness and grief is all Amira knows, but when luminescent creatures appear in the veil, her inborn gift awakens and allows her to see the shadows for what they are. Caught between fear and the pull of light on her soul, she must decide whether her convictions are worth shattering the beliefs of those she loves. If courage fails her and she gives in to the pressing dark, her people could remain shrouded forever. But if she stands against it, true light might penetrate the veil for the first time. So that sounded really interesting. It looks like it has some kind of poem for the beginning of part 1. The first paragraph is only 1 line, so we'll do the first 2 paragraphs here. Chapter 1 says, Amira, I have known darkness all my life. The veil folk say it isn't sinister. It should not be feared. It is for your good. For 17 years I've pretended to accept it. But when my eyes are closed, I imagine I can see everything that that lies around me for miles and miles. When sleep takes me, I dream of lights that burn unimaginably bright and banish every hint of shadow. Okay, that wasn't the book, that was just me stumbling. I love this cover, it looks amazing. Very excited to read this. And also, this is the first book in a series. This one was also on sale. This one is Married by Treachery. This is part of a series called Arranged Marriages of the Fae. This is by Barbara Kloss. This series, I think, has different authors for every book, though. It's pretty small, but it's got a surprise underneath the dust jacket. When I ordered it, I had no idea that would be there. So this one says, Raquel never expected to marry a bear. To be fair, Prince Edom wasn't actually a bear, but it was impossible to see his face through his mess of wild hair. Not that she needed to see his face. In fact, it was probably better she didn't, because she was going to kill him. It had been 7 years since Prince Edom had galloped off with her best friend through the magic veil and taken her into his magic kingdom. 7 long years of resolve, of hard work and training, so that Raquel could be ready for this day. The day she would exact revenge upon Prince Edom for all the brides he'd stolen, for all the brides he murdered. Sounds interesting. Married by Treachery. I mean, it's got a catchy title. So do I read the prologue? No, I'm going to stick with the first paragraph of chapter 1. Raquel had not expected all the hair. The elders had mentioned Prince Edom's unusual hairiness, but this was nigh unsightly, and she would have felt sorry for the prince if he weren't also about to carry her off to her death. So, I came across this one, I think, on Instagram. I've been down a deep dive. We'll talk about it. Okay, the next 3 I'm going to go by pretty quickly because I got these from my library book sale. I shared a short last week on that. So I got Rilla of Ingleside. I have not yet tried to take off the plastic, but I did share on that video that underneath there, let's see if you can kind of, okay, you can't see anything, but trust me, it looks really cool under there. So I need to see what I can all take off. But I didn't necessarily love Rilla while I was reading it because it was so emotional. But afterwards, it stuck with me. And let's, for fun, even though this is like way into the series, I think this might be number 5 of the Anne series. Chapter 1. It was a warm, golden, cloudy, lovable afternoon. In the big living room at Ingleside, Susan Baker sat down with a certain grim satisfaction hovering about her like an aura. It was 4 o'clock, and Susan, who had been working incessantly since 6 that morning, felt that she had fairly earned an hour of repose and gossip. Susan just then was perfectly happy. Everything had gone almost uncannily well in the kitchen that day. Dr. Jekyll had not been Mr. Hyde, and so had not grated on her nerves. From where she sat, she could see the pride of her heart, the bed of peonies of her own planting and culture, blooming as though no other peony plot in Glen St. Mary ever did, or could, bloom, with peonies crimson, peonies silvery pink, peonies white as drifts of winter snow. So this is the Anne of Green Gables series. Rilla is one of her children, and this book kind of broke my heart. So it's cool to have it in a beautiful copy. I think I need to pause here because it sounds like one of my kids is vacuuming. Okay, continuing on. 2 other books from the library sale. The first one is Fighting Words by Kimberly Brew Baker Bradley. Whew, her last names there are a tongue twister. So she wrote The War That Saved My Life, which everyone on BookTube loves. I don't. But I've heard good things about Fighting Words. It sounds like it's intense. This one and the other one are pretty much for my 13-year-old, but I'll probably read them at some point, but she plans on having them in her room. This one says, sometimes you've got a story you need to find the courage to tell. 10-year-old Della has always had her older sister Suki. When their mom went to prison, Della had Suki. When their mom's boyfriend took them in, Della had Suki. When that same boyfriend did something so awful they had to run fast, Della had Suki. Suki is Della's own wolf, her protector. But who has been protecting Suki? Della might get told on for swearing at school, but she has always known how to keep quiet where it counts. Then Suki tries to kill herself, and Della's world turns so far upside down, it feels like it's shaking her by the ankles. Maybe she's been quiet about the wrong things. Maybe it's time to be loud. So, this one's going to cover some heavy topics. The first paragraph says, My new tattoo is covered by a band-aid, but halfway through recess the band-aid falls off. I'm hanging my winter coat on the hook in our 4th grade classroom when my teacher, Ms. Davante, walks by and gasps. Okay, there's that one. And then we also got Something Like Home. And I think this one, for some reason, I feel like this ends up having something to do with foster care at some point. And this one does as well. This is by Andrea Beatriz. I don't know how to say her last name. I always have the books linked below if you need more information. Laura has a plan. No matter what the grown-ups say, she will live with her parents again. Can you blame her? It's tough to make friends as the new kid at school. And while staying at her aunt's house is okay, it isn't the same as being in her own space. Oh, this is free verse. I didn't realize that. Interesting. I generally like free verse novels. So we will see. So the first paragraph-ish is the first stanza of the first chapter. It's called Time and Space. The drive to TT's house takes exactly 18 minutes. I know because my current Rubik's Cube solving time is about 2 minutes. And I solved my scratched up faded cube a grand total of 9 times. So I didn't realize that this was free verse. Interesting. Then the other two I've purchased recently, one of them is Caraval. I don't know why. My mouth struggles with this word. This one doesn't actually have any information. I am more than halfway through reading it. Oh, here. Scarlett has never left the tiny island where she and her sister Tella live with her powerful and cruel father. Now Scarlett's father has arranged a marriage for her, and Scarlett thinks her dreams of seeing Caraval, the faraway once-a-year performance where the audience participates in the show, are over. But this year, Scarlett's long dreamt of invitation finally arrives. Yeah, so I'm partway through reading it. It's a fantasy story with some like gothic vibes. This first chapter, it says it took 7 years to get the letter right, and then there's a bunch of letters. But we'll get to the actual, I guess this one's chapter 2. Scarlett's feelings came in colors even brighter than usual. The urgent red of burning coals, the eager green of new grass buds, the frenzied yellow of a flapping bird's feathers. My plan is to finish this before the end of July, so it should be in my wrap-up, and you guys can hear my thoughts on that. And then the final book is Ruin and Rising. I finished reading this series in my finishing series video, and I got this book when we went to the Daisy Chain bookstore. I shared a vlog for that. So this is the final book in the Grishaverse trilogy, so I don't really want to say a whole lot about it. I'll see if, I guess the thing is with subsequent books is they can have spoilers. Oh, and these ones I start with like a before section. So chapter 1, I will read the first paragraph to you. I stood on a carved stone balcony, arms spread, shivering in my cheap robes, and tried to put on a good show. My kefta was a patchwork, sewn together from scraps of the gown I was wearing the night we fled the palace, and garnished curtains that I'd been told came from a defunct theater somewhere near Salah. Beads from the lobby chandeliers made up the trim. The embroidery at the cuffs was already coming undone. David and Gina had done their best, but there were limited resources underground. So yeah, this kind of goes really well into my book buying habits in the future. First of all, I really enjoy thrifting, library sales, etc. If I can find good books at a cheap price, I enjoy that. I also really love the thrill of the hunt. Lots of times I go to the thrift store, I don't find anything. But when you can find something that you're interested in reading, like the other book we got at the library sale was one on writing for my daughter, and a friend of hers had told her about it a while ago, so that was very exciting. I like the thrill of that. I'm still going to thrift, but I'm going to be careful that I try to only bring home books I want to read. This last month, I've purchased 2 popular books, and I'm not done this one yet, but like overall kind of disappointed by them. And part of my new philosophy is popular books, get them from the library. Don't buy them. Just get them from the library, because the library has a ton of copies, and if I like them, then I can buy them. So that's part of my new philosophy. The other part is spend my money on independent authors and independent books. try to do my research, try to make sure that they're going to be good. But I really want to highlight either indie authors or authors from like smaller publishers and be able to help them out. I know they don't have a huge budget, so I want to be able to help them out. I want to use my book money in that way. Unfortunately, I can't buy a ton of them, so if I can find them on sale, like I found these on sale, I'm gonna be able to buy more of them. So that's gonna be a bit more of my philosophy from now on, is spending money on books I'm like really excited about instead of just like books that I've heard good things about in a lot of different places. If you guys like book deals, books by indie authors, make sure you're also following my newsletter, which I've moved over to Substack. I did share like this amazing deal when I came across it, and as of right now it's still on sale. I don't know if it will be when this video goes live. And if you guys have some like great indie authors that you would like to recommend, especially in the fantasy genre, it's definitely where I'm at right now. But almost every book that I have purchased or received in the last while has been fantasy or science fiction. I would love to hear about it. I am also thinking of trying to like the Kindle again and trying a bunch of them that are independently published on Kindle Unlimited and then buying the ones that I really enjoy. So yeah, I'm excited about it because so far I've read 2 out of the 3 books that I bought for myself for my birthday. Heart of Red, Blood of Blue, The Heir and the Spare. I've read those 2. I have 1 more to read. And the 2 that I've read have been 5 stars. And so I think I just want to try to buy books that my purchase makes more of a difference than for someone like Leigh Bardugo, and that I think I'm going to really love. So you might see some smaller book hauls in the future, but I think they'll be better quality. That's my hope. Thanks for joining me, guys. Let me know, what are some good sounding books you've purchased lately? What is your like book buying philosophy? Do you have one? I'm curious to know.